Hey chaps, in this tutorial we are going to be, it's part two of the new disco pads tutorial, and we are going to be creating this pad sound. Okay, so basically in the first tutorial what we did is we actually had a look at this track that somebody requested on my Facebook page. Okay, and we recreated the bass line and then the pads. So basically we went over the theory about how to create the bass line and then extract the pads from it. So this one will actually be going over creating the synth preset from it, or the synth patch rather. So basically the first thing that I'm going to do is create a MIDI track here, and I'm going to call this pads recreation. And in this pads recreation, what we're going to do is we're going to just take the MIDI from the last tutorial, which I showed you how to make. We're going to create this in with a new instance of Sylenth. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get plugins, not digital, Sylenth. Okay, so there's Sylenth, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to I'm going to clear that down. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these notes down by 1 octave because it's a bit high at the moment. So what I want to do is just quickly have a look at not some of the music theory, but some of the theory behind synthesis, which I cover in my other tutorial, Bassline, New Disco Basslines. There's 5 basic steps to programming synth. The first one is that we set the oscillators, and that will give us the color of the sound. The second thing that we do is we set the amp envelope on the oscillators, and that will give us the shape of the body of the sound. Then we set the amount of filtration, which will let us sculpt the sound and actually take out some of the frequencies. Then we set the filter envelope, which will actually give us more body related to filtering, and then we apply effects over the top. Initially, these are the most 3 important steps. Steps 1, 2, and 3, oscillators, amp envelope, and filter amount for creating a pad sound. They are what will give you 90% of your sound. It's worth remembering that when programming a synth, basically simplicity is the key to all of this. If you're spending too long fiddling with parameters, then just stop, delete the patch, and start again. And most of the sounds should be relatively easy to get with any bog standard subtractive synthesizer. So basically, the first thing that we're going to do is set the amps, set the type of oscillators. So you can see at the moment we have, I'm just going to turn the volume down a bit, so we can see that we have a saw sound at the moment. But what I want to do is actually increase the amount of voices and detune it slightly because it's just a bit dry at the moment. So I usually turn the voices up to 4, and then I just give it a bit of detune up to about a third way. Okay, and at this point, the retrigger button on Sylenth, I use that to actually give width or not. So at the moment, it's quite central. When I turn that retrigger off, it opens it up, and it actually makes it less harsh and takes the sort of pluck sound out of it. Yeah, width on. Yeah, so usually retrigger will give it width and take the harshness out of it. So now basically I've got that step done. I can move on to the second step, which is set the amp envelope. And so basically, what I'm going to do is just have a think about the sound here that I'm trying to recreate. So I'm going to try and go off the original one that not the original I made, the one that I made in the last in part 1. Now I don't know if you can hear, but basically the sound goes all the way through to the end, which the reason that it goes all the way through to the end, even though our note doesn't go to the end, is because of this release. So what we need to do is actually, the first thing, the most obvious thing, is the fact that our sound stops abruptly. So the way we solve that is just to turn up the release. That's it. So far we've got the shape of the sound just by tweaking the release and detuning some oscillators. So first thing was detune the oscillators, then the release, and that's the first part of the sound we get. And I got that just from the default patch on Sylenth. So you know we're pretty far along, even though we've only just started. And so the second thing to do is, or rather the third thing to do, is to actually set the filter envelope amount. So I usually just set it low pass filter and just again put it to about 1/3 on the cutoff. The only thing is that's a bit quiet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the mix A up to actually boost the volume of that. I'm going to turn the channel track up, the channel volume up as well on that track, on that Ableton track. Boost it right up. Might need to get a plug in there to boost the volume, so I'll just show you that. So I just get a little utility in there, drag it in, that usually helps us. Yeah, so we just tweak that, just because usually that one, we want to keep that at 0 really, ideally, and just boost it behind, boost the track internally rather than externally, so we've got space to mix it later on. So I'll just boost that up a bit. Yeah, so that's... Now you can hear that clicking, and the recommendation to remove that clicking, as per the Sylenth instructions, is just to tweak up that amp, that attack a bit. There we go. So that's basically the sound. If we think that's a bit high in the mix, we can move those notes down by an octave. And at that point, once we've got it a bit lower in the mix, so it's less squawky, what I'd probably do is just stick a filter on that and just take that down. Magic number for filtering out deep low end is around about 500 to 700. Yeah, that's just like a magic number that I always just, filter. But that's the first thing I do when I filter out the bottom end of something, is just go to around about the 500 to 700 mark. It just seems to just hit the sweet spot most of the time and then move in and around that. So and listening back to the original track. And so basically the next thing that they've done is they've done some automation. So that's in the effects, but basically we set the, so we basically, with this particular patch, we don't need to set the filter envelope because it's quite a simple sound, so I haven't actually done it for this one. And in fact, most of the sounds don't need a filter envelope set on them. However, what they have done on this one is to sort of add some effects by automating the filter cutoff. So what I'll do is actually just record some automation in now. So I just hit the record button, and I'm going to just play with the cutoff. Okay. And there we have it. That's the new disco pad. So if you'd like me to send you this patch, then just send me a message on my Facebook page and I'll fire that over to you. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out any of my other tutorials for creating new disco. Thanks a lot.